We have, if this works correctly, it does. Yo, we back. Fucking NBA. Holy shit. Might be a possibility that we're getting some sports once again, which it feels like it's been pretty much forever today. So I was watching the other night. We were just flipping through the channels trying to figure out like what to watch. We were trying to watch like some show or whatever, and then we landed on ESPN, and they were on NBA 2K, season or whatever, and it was, bruh, it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life because I think there was something wrong with their systems. And so it was like this drama of like the systems is down and then like they're trying to figure it out and then that turned into like like the story, instead of them actually playing, it was just like, this guy's mad at this guy over here because he started playing and he and it's just like what the fuck am I watching? What is this? So
Were you ever a 2K guy? I was never like a basketball. I was more of a Madden guy than a 2K guy.
Yeah. Shout out to CA Chris Agason. It was him and Khalid and Brandon that were always maybe even not even B. I don't even know if B was in that camp, but they were always more the 2K guys. I was always just Madden. It was just Madden for me. Everything else is it didn't really matter.
So I'm trying to pull up the list of the 22 NBA teams that are going to be playing in the NBA playoffs.
Mhm.
I had a graphic that had like the full list of all their teams.
Well,
but
yeah, I can actually pull that up on the screen here if you want to give me a sec. What I was actually trying to do was find out the teams that weren't on the list. And I guess obviously we can do by orders of deduction. But
yeah,
hold on one sec. Let me.
well, we don't need to talk about the teams that aren't on the list. They're not on the list for a reason.
Yeah.
Who
So
wants to talk about those motherfuckers?
yeah. So if you can see the list here, so in the Eastern
So I'll run
Conference,
through it really quick.
yeah,
Oh, you got it.
yeah, I
So
got it.
I'll run through it.
Mhm.
Eastern Conference, we got the Milwaukee Bucks at the 1 seed, Toronto Raptors at the 2 seed, Boston Celtics in 3, Miami Heat in 4, which that's I was surprised by that. The bottom few, Indiana Pacers, Philadelphia 76ers, Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn Nets is interesting because both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. I mean, Kevin Durant was obviously going to be out for the season. Or missed the majority of this season, but I think he was supposed to make a late return this season,
Mm.
and he recently took to Twitter just to say like, yeah, I'm not playing this year.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting how players can do that, and I think Kyrie Irving also is just not playing this year.
Yeah.
After that we've got the Orlando Magic and Washington Wizards coming in at the 9 seed out of the Eastern Conference,
Just scraping by.
Yeah, they're 24-40. I don't know how they
Jesus.
made it here.
Yo, I
but
don't even know how
whatever.
the seeding fucking like. How does it work in the fucking NBA where teams with just abysmal records end up getting into the playoffs? And I guess it happens in the
I have
NFL
no
too.
idea.
But Jesus Christ, 24 and
Yeah,
40.
Yeah, I mean, like
What?
in the NFL, you can make the playoffs at like 8-8, right?
Yeah.
Which is not a good record. At least it's 500, right? Like you're kind of like even. But 24-40, how the fuck do you make the playoffs at 24-40? Anyway, rounding out the Western Conference, Los Angeles Lakers at the 1 seed, Los Angeles Clippers in 2, Denver Nuggets in 3, Utah Jazz at 4, Oklahoma City Thunder at 5, and the rest of the teams are the Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies, the Portland Trailblazers, which always come in at a low seed, but I think they're going to do pretty well. It's about time that Dame time got a championship ring. Then we got the New Orleans Pelicans. That'll be really interesting to see if Zion Williamson is built for the playoffs. Then we got the Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, and Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
I don't fucking know, dude. I don't really watch basketball like that, to be perfectly fucking honest. So it's hard for me to come up with a well informed opinion. But what I can do is give you some facts about what's going on. So let me just read a little bit. This is from the actual WNBA site. The 2019-2020 NBA season went on hiatus on March 11th because of the coronavirus pandemic. On June 4th, the NBA's Board of Governors approved a competitive format to restart the 2019-2020 season, with 22 teams returning to play and its tentative start date of July 31st. Just to answer some questions, they were saying that Games and practices would be held near Orlando as the season restarts. Is contingent on a agreement with the Walt Disney Company to use the Walt Disney World Resort. Well, they just so Disney came into a bag on that. They're like, oh yes, because we're definitely not going to have people fucking there for a while. So why don't you bring everybody? Just bring them all here.
Yeah.
And so they definitely came up on a bag with that. And then they go on to say it would be a single site location featuring a campus that would house players for the remainder of the season, which is kind of wild to fucking think about. So everybody is just going to be away from their families for like, at least like 3-4 months, right? I'm assuming because that's like how much the rest of the season would take, right? It would be about 2 or 3 months, right?
I would
That
say
would
like
be
2 months. I
about two
think.
months. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're
2 months of
they're
playoffs.
at like what 60 some odd games right now before they left
Yeah,
off.
yeah, about like 65 games, I think. How much games are there in a season?
I think they're like 70 or 80, like somewhere between 70 and 80. I think I don't know exactly the number, right? There's
Yeah.
between 70 and 80
I,
games.
I would say they'd want to wrap these playoffs up in like the next 2 months because then you got like football season starting.
Yeah,
And then you got to give the players rest to begin the basketball season at the top of the year.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a 2 month playoff.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just really interesting that people are just going to be like, and I guess they're typically gone, right? Like if they're on the road anyways, but it just seems like because they have to like quarantine themselves essentially, like there can't be really too many outside people coming in and inside people going out. Like everybody kind of just has to stay there, So that's really, really interesting, and I wonder how the players feel about that. Much less like maybe the staff and people who are sort of on the peripheral of the NBA in comparison to the actual players. Very, very interesting to see how that all sort of works out. And God forbid that there's one person who actually does have coronavirus who ends up there, then we're canceling everything again. Or they'll just,
Yeah,
that person will just disappear and we'll never hear that from them again.
yeah, that's the interesting part, right? Is like, what if another player during this playoff thing tests positive? Then they'd have to for sure cancel everything. And you think about the revenue loss there, right? There's like it takes a lot of money and revenue to get this thing back in motion, and to have to shut it down again, you're probably going to lose more money than if it was just shut down, right?
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of the players, it would suck to be away from home for that long. But unless you had Rich Paul representing you as your agent when you signed your contract, you're not getting paid right now. Because I think there are only like five NBA players who had contracts that, regardless of the coronavirus, made it so that they still earned their full salary. And all five of those players were being represented by Rich Paul,
Yeah.
which is why the NBA passed a rule saying that like now agents have to have gotten like a college degree to represent NBA players, which Rich Paul did not have. So yeah, if I was a lot of these players, I'm like, yo, let's start tomorrow because I need that direct deposit. But
Yeah.
to give my predictions out of the Western Conference really quickly, I got it coming down to the Los Angeles Lakers, and I got it coming down to the Portland Trailblazers out of the West. Out of the East, I got it coming down to Milwaukee Bucks and probably the like 76ers, to be honest. We'll see Bucks and Sixers. I'm a Washington Wizards fan, but I don't got the Wizards going. Do you know what? Something I read the other day. Over the past 2 years, what's his name?
Bradley Beal.
Fucking no. The Washington Wizards star point guard.
Damn, what's his name?
John Wall.
John Wall,
John
yeah.
Wall. So over the past 2 years, John Wall's played like almost no games.
Yeah.
Right.
Due to injury,
but
right?
he's still due to injuries, but he's still been paid roughly $80 million over the past years to play no games.
Hey, look. I mean, I'm sure
That's amazing.
I'm sure he's playing a lot of 2K. Maybe that counts. I don't know.
A lot, absolutely. Like right, but like here's the thing though, that it's a good and a bad thing, right? Because you're making a lot of money, your body is healing, right? But in the NBA, you play to be the best, right? And as good as John Wall is, no one is putting him in like the among the best conversations because like he's unhealthy, he hasn't played in a long time.
Yeah.
And this team sucks. and I think as a player, even if you have a lot of money, you still kind of want to be like in that conversation.
Yeah. 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 It kind of is what it is. Like, if if the Wizards were that displeased, of course they have the right to just kind of just get rid of him. Um, and I have the wrong graphic up here. That sucks. Um, yeah, I might as well just turn it off. Yeah, like you might want to just get rid of him, but also it's just like, I mean, unless we land some other big ticket free agent, we would hate to let him go, have him go beast on another team. It's like if you're dating somebody, right? And they're not quite the best, but you stick with them, you stick with them, and then you break up with them because you're like, I can't do this shit anymore, and then they see them glow up and you're like,
And you
wait,
see them
come on now.
flourish.
Like all that work I put in and I don't get the benefit from that shit. Fuck this shit, So
Yeah, yeah. That is the rough part. That's why most people are
it
still
really
in
is.
relationships,
Yeah.
not because they want to be together, just because like I don't want to see you flourish with some other nigga doing all the shit that I taught you. I bought you that purse. See her on a date with the dude and with another guy in the dress that you bought her. You're like, motherfucker.
you know,
Now her credit score went up 10 points.
everything's looking good, everything's looking great, clean, but
She
yeah.
back in the gym. You like, motherfucker.
Oh shit. All right. So yeah. Anyways, I thought that was a bit of good news, and hopefully things, still kind of hopefully the craziness that with everything going on right now with the protest, hopefully that kind of doesn't exasperate the whole coronavirus thing, but I can't foresee how it can't. So we'll kind of keep an eye on it and see how things go, and if the NBA is going to still be on schedule. And they did go through pains to make everybody know that this is tentative, that it might not happen. It just depends on how things kind of shake loose between now and between now and July 31st. So yeah, we've got that coming. And now we will go to a different story. I don't know why I said it like that. That was very, very unnecessary for me to do.